Welcome to the Moulding Lives Show, where we tell the amazing stories of everyday people that are committed to building a better life for themselves and those around them, and in turn, build generational wealth. In this first episode of the Moulding Lives Show, we introduce the show and discuss the benefits to anyone looking for a source of inspiration from everyday people with amazing stories, and in so doing, making their lives better. I am Oliver Nagaya. I have been producing two other shows called the Moulding Private Practice Show and the Moulding Health Show with a co-host, Shaz Hattingh Macfie. In the Moulding Private Practice Show, we help healthcare practitioners in private practice keep true to their purpose and build a life of mastery by providing the knowledge, skills, and tools to bring their dreams to life. In the Moulding Health Show, we leverage the wisdom and experience of healthcare practitioners to set the listeners on a path of self-discovery and healing. These insights, coupled with a multidisciplinary approach to each area of interest, provides an invaluable resource to anyone looking for a better approach to health. But there's still a story to tell, and you don't need to be a business owner or a healthcare practitioner to tell it. You just need to be committed to building a better life for yourself and those around you. And by embarking on the journey, you build generational wealth so that we become better as a society. In many ways, this is my own journal of progress, inspiration, and truth. The goal of the show is to leverage the wisdom and experience of everyone that is committed to building a better life for themselves and those around them. We love business and personal development models that can build generational wealth and wisdom, but not everyone needs a business or trust fund to be able to achieve this. Our goal is to speak to everyone that is committed to building a better life for themselves and those around them, because we believe that everyone's story is important. These stories and these insights, coupled with an open mind, should provide an invaluable resource to everyone looking for a better life and everyone looking to build generational wealth. Hi, everyone. So as I said, I think there's definitely a need for being able to tell a story that's not just if you're a business owner or you're a healthcare practitioner in private practice. I love those models because I think those models lend itself to building a passive income source, and it lends itself to building a non-time-based income. But I don't think that's it. And I've worked for many years, and it's over 24 years now, and much of that time actually has been in corporate. And during that time, I've met some amazing people that I've learned tons from. Whether they were teaching me or not, it was just by observing and learning from it, that experience, and also understanding myself in terms of how do I become better. And over that time, I've learned that you don't really need a business. That's the journey that I'm on now. We have two companies, and we build software products, and it took me a while to figure out that model and what I like doing. But it's definitely not the model that everyone needs to do. I'm in a global mastermind group, and there's entrepreneurs across the world. It's quite a small group though, but we get together every 2 weeks and we discuss how things are going with business, and most of the businesses are software based. But it's interesting hearing the stories from different countries. There's a mastermind group member that's from India, one from Canada, one from the US, and one from Slovenia. And just hearing that, their stories and some of the challenges that they're going through and the progress that they're making is amazing. And then if I flip that to our everyday life, where we help healthcare practitioners in private practice, with all of their business functions and how we make their lives slightly better, definitely there's something in there that is almost a fusion of ideas that I think would be amazing. And we're looking to go into new markets. And as I go into these new markets, I look to Shaz, who's my co-host on the other two shows, and said, there's something that we're still missing. And I don't, the Moulding Private Practice Show is definitely more about healthcare practitioners, because I find there's definitely gaps from a business point of view. And I think there's a story to tell there, and especially to give them a platform to showcase some of their private practice struggles and challenges and wins, so that they can help other practitioners that are looking at going into private practice, because I think there's definitely a gap there in terms of people wanting to go and become a clinical psychologist, but not really knowing what that involves and what it requires to set up a private practice. And then with the Moulding Health Show, it's an amazing one because I've always thought that there's a way that you need to put practitioners and patients together and talk about things that are relevant that practitioners almost keep, I wouldn't say guarded, but they definitely don't know the wisdom that they have that they can pass on to us as everyday people. And then the story that I'm more interested about, and that's the story that in many ways is probably my own story, which is having the need or the desire to make things better. And it doesn't matter what your station in life is and where you are, but having the will to make things better, and then following a path to be able to do that, and every day plugging away and doing something that makes a positive difference and makes a difference in terms of that journey that you're on, of making a better life for yourself, for those around you. And that's normally family members, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. In our case, that's employees, because the fact that our companies exist mean that we employ 7 people. And, if we employ 7 people, that means that we probably making a positive difference to those employees' lives. And then I think the third aspect to this is the concept of generational wealth. And I always use this, and my brother used to talk about the concept of social IP. And it comes from the concept that you don't really know what you don't know. And I find that if you have a platform, your children then have a platform to build on, and it kind of goes from there. But if you don't have the platform, probably your generation is about creating the platform so that the next generation has that platform. And I think if we make a conscious decision to be able to build that generational wealth, as a society, we get better because we're not stuck in the same problems or circumstances that our parents were stuck in. And that's something I firmly believe in. And I firmly believe that my mom's generation or my parents' generation, they set the platform for where we are. There's lots of things that changed in the meantime, which they would never have predicted. But it's our job, as in, Ingrid, my wife, and my job to make sure that our children are at a better space than we are. And I think if we as a generation keep on doing that, and also not just thinking of it from the perspective of our own small, close-knit community, but the larger global community as a whole, as a society, we get better. And that is my firm hope and my firm belief, because I think it makes sense in my mind anyway. And it goes with lots of the principles that I believe in. I believe in the principle that you can learn anything that you want to, and there's an infinite source of guidance that you can take from that. And it doesn't matter where you are in your life, I think you can make a difference. I love reading, and I love reading books that helps you become better. And so I always say, and I don't know where I picked this up from, but the principle is that you buy a book for 100 to 200 rands. And even if you didn't want to buy the book, if you go to the library and you borrow a book, and if you just picked up one idea from that book, it makes you a better person. And if you can take that one idea and put that into the overall path that you're on, or the overall fusion of all of the other ideas, over time, it makes you a better person. When I was growing up, we were fortunate. So we stayed in a township in South Africa, but I was fortunate enough to stay opposite a library, a community library. But when I got home, the first thing I did, after having something to eat and just getting dressed after school, was to go to the library and get 2 books. And I would do this every day. So essentially, I read 2 books a day for years and years. Most of those were not books that made me better, but it was definitely learning. And it was I finished the whole Asterix and Obelix and Tintin books and every fairy tale book that they had in their in the library, and then moved on to computer programming type books. So by the time that I was finished with primary school, I could definitely program in a small way. And the weird thing about that is that for many years I didn't have a computer. I mean, I could just program on paper, and I knew the concepts. So it was quite. So that's kind of where the journey for knowledge started. So what I'm hoping to cover with these episodes is to showcase people that are, in many senses, just everyday people, just people with a story to tell, and people with a story to tell where they're actually trying to make a difference in their lives and trying to make a difference in the lives of other people. Starting with family, because I think strong families build strong communities, and strong communities build strong countries, and strong countries build a strong society or global society. So that's what I'm hoping to do, and also using this as a platform to almost be a diary for my own stuff that's or my own journey that I'm going through. I've learned many things. I've made lots of mistakes, and some of them have been painful. Some of them have been costly. But the one thing is always to have, or what I try to do, is to always have that approach that we learn from that. And it doesn't matter how difficult the mistake, and doesn't matter how painful the mistake was, it's just to learn from that so that we don't keep on making the same mistakes. As I mentioned, I learned a lot in corporate, and I've had some really good experiences, especially towards the latter half of my corporate career. Because I think the first part of the corporate career was just trying to understand what I didn't know. And once I figured it out and understood where I could create true value and create value around people around me, and especially to the companies that I was working at, I think I actually started enjoying the work a lot more. And I could see that in terms of the quality of work that I was able to produce, not just for myself, but for people around us. And I worked with this amazing consultant. He was actually a director and I'm hoping actually at some point to see if I can convince him to come onto the show and tell me his story, or tell us his story, because I'm sure it's an amazing one. But just talking, I think I learned a lot from him in terms of just almost settling into the process and just doing the best you can. Because once you remove that anxiety, and once you know that you have value to offer, I think it becomes a lot more easier for you to provide that value. And I think that's the amazing thing about the journey that we're currently on with the companies that we have, is that it's not about how many clients we have. And this always surprises people. And even this week, we have a new product coming out in the market, and Shaz comes to me and tells me, I found this competitor and they do X, Y, and Z. And when I first started out with business, I always thought, that this would always rattle me, because it's amazing. Whenever I came out with a business idea and I started looking, there were like 10 different companies doing the same thing. And that was quite demoralizing. But when Shaz told me that, it wasn't demoralizing. It was, it just validates the idea that there's a problem to solve, and we'll solve it in a different way than that competitor probably will, and that's okay. And the other belief I have is we don't need thousands and thousands of clients to build a better life for ourselves and those around us. So it doesn't, it doesn't faze me at all that this is a scenario that we need to deal with. In effect, it just makes us better, because it makes us better in terms of seeing what is working and what's not working, and how we can probably serve the people that we want to serve in a better way. So that's the journey, and that's the story. I don't want to keep this episode too long, but what you can expect is over the next few weeks to be able to hear stories, and my own story, of how we're doing from a company point of view, and then also stories of other people that have amazing stories to share. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you in the next episode. Hey everyone, thanks for listening. As always, stay tuned and we'll speak to you in the next episode.